Donald Trump is panicking and he has gone mute. He has gone silent on Thanksgiving. No posts from him yet, ranting and raving like a lunatic on Thanksgiving, which he usually does. One of the reasons, though, that Donald Trump is panicking and trying to figure out what the hell he's gonna do right now on this Thanksgiving.
In fact, it passed overwhelmingly 427 to 1. Wow, wait, hold on. Wait, to 1? Who is the one vote to keep them secret? Do we have a picture of the guy who voted against it? Wonder who that was. Who was that? I don't know.
Our president is very busy prosecuting his enemies. His goon squad today indicted his own former national security advisor, John Bolton. He is just brazenly lying about the economy and grocery prices, but he did have a chat with Vlad Putin today, which we know because while he was on the phone with Putin, he posted, "I am speaking to President Putin now." The conversation is ongoing, a lengthy one, and I will report the contents, as will President Putin at its conclusion. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Never mind our attention to this matter. How about you paying attention to this matter?
You know what really gets under Donald Trump's skin? It's not just one late-night host roasting him every night, it's when two of the biggest names in late-night television join forces, create an unbreakable alliance, and use every platform they have to expose his corruption and hypocrisy. And that's exactly what Jimmy Kimmel and Stephen Colbert have been doing, and Trump absolutely cannot handle it. I'm talking about a friendship that started as professional respect, evolved into a full-blown brotherhood during the 2023 writers' strike, and exploded into open warfare against Trump's attempts to silence them both.
Is because it has now been confirmed by multiple other sources, and you probably heard it here on the Midas Touch Network first, that the Trump regime granted asylum to the DC shooter back in April of this year. In fact, Kristi Noem, the head of the Department of Homeland Security, had to confirm that this morning. Fox then confirmed it as well. The Trump regime officially granted asylum to the shooter in April of this year. More on that in a moment. Also, people are livid and pissed at this regime on this Thanksgiving. We all know that the price of turkey is up. We all know that the price of Thanksgiving dinner is significantly higher. The prices of everything are essentially higher right now, despite the Trump regime trying to gaslight us and claim that everything is lower.
Of course, the vote doesn't mean the Epstein files will be released right away. The bill now has to go to the Senate, where it may be amended. And if it's passed there and amended, it would have to go back to the House, where it has to cross over a river, and under the bridge is a troll. And to get by the troll, you have to answer his riddle. What walks on two cankles in the morning, rides a golf cart in the afternoon, and is totally in the Epstein files? Thank you.
Why are you posting about a phone call while you're on the call? Every once in a while, when he needs a good laugh, Putin schedules a phone call with Trump. And Putin is Bart Simpson and Trump is his Mo. Trump announced that he is going to meet with Putin in Budapest at a date to be determined because only he can end a war.
I don't think any president's ever ended a war, frankly. One war, I did 8 of them, Maria, right? And but I don't know, did Bush ever end? Do you think Biden ended a war? Biden started wars because he was stupid. But do you think Biden ended any wars? No, I don't know of anybody that ended wars. I ended 8 of them.
No president, nobody has ever ended a war other than him. All the other wars ended mysteriously by themselves.
This is the story of how two comedians became the biggest thorns in Trump's side, how Trump tried to destroy both their shows, and how their alliance only got stronger with every attack. Before we dive in, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to America Facticity, and hit that notification bell. I've got more exposés coming that mainstream media won't touch. Let's start with where this alliance really solidified. August 2023, during the Writers Guild strike. All the late night shows went dark, their writers were on the picket lines, and 5 hosts, Jimmy Kimmel, Stephen Colbert, Jimmy Fallon, Seth Meyers, and John Oliver, decided to do something unprecedented. They created a podcast called Strike Force 5. It was Stephen Colbert's idea.
We all know that to be false, and as we sit around the table and we share our Thanksgiving stories about this past year, none of them are favorable to this despicable regime and what they've done to this country. Let me just pull up, though, the latest reporting from Fox on this DC shooter, and this information is now also coming from the regime as they're spiraling and not sure how the hell they're going to respond to this. So, the alleged shooter, Rahmanullah Lakanwal, worked for the CIA in Afghanistan out of Kandahar's base, according to CIA Director John Ratcliffe. Multiple sources tell Jennifer Griffin, she's actually a really good reporter on Fox. She covers national security. She's one of the few good reporters there. She says, multiple sources tell me he was vetted before working with the CIA by the NCTC, National Counterterrorism Center, and the CIA. He basically worked for the CIA. I'm told that Lakanwal was with the task force in Kandahar during the Afghan withdrawal. The CIA airlifted, with the help of the U.S. military, many Afghan allies who had worked with the U.S. government and took special care of those who were badged and worked with the agency. They were taken to bases in Qatar and Europe, Trump's friends in Qatar, and then onward to military bases in the U.S., where further vetting was supposed to take place.
Then again, it might be way simpler than that, because as of this taping, this is still happening, as of this taping, since the vote was so huge and overwhelming in the House, the Senate may vote on the Epstein files tonight. So, soon, I mean, tomorrow we might know everything he and his pervert buddies did, meaning it's Epstein rockin' Eve. Stay up for a ball drop you're gonna wanna miss.
But he ended 8 of them. And that, kids, is why it's so important to never learn anything. It damages your self-esteem. Tomorrow, Trump gets a visit from Zelensky at the White House. They're going to see if they can figure out this thing with Bad Bunny. And then after that, we'll work on Ukraine. And most importantly, he still has his eye on the ballroom. Trump really wants a ballroom in the White House. Said the reason we don't have one already is because we've never had a real estate person as president, but now we have Blob Vila running the show, and we're gonna have one. Last night, Trump hosted a fundraising dinner for his big, beautiful $200 million wedding venue. The fact that the government is shut down because Republicans don't want to spend money on health care.
He'd learned from the 2007 to 2008 writers' strike that the hosts needed to stay in touch and support each other. They started having weekly Zoom meetings, and Kimmel suggested turning it into a podcast. All proceeds went to their out-of-work staff members. The podcast launched August 30th, 2023, and immediately shot to #1 on both Spotify and Apple Podcasts. For 12 episodes, these 5 rival hosts proved they weren't rivals at all. They were brothers in arms. Colbert later said the collaboration meant everything to him. Kimmel called them his podcast brothers and vowed to defend them.
Having a CIA ID would have put him in a vetted category. I'm told there was nothing in his background when he arrived in the U.S. on September 8th, 2021 that suggested links to terrorism. He applied for asylum last year and reportedly received asylum in April under the Trump administration. And then CNN writes, Kristi Noem has said that this individual was granted asylum this past year in April of 2025 under the Trump administration. By the way, you can see his badge right here, Rahmanullah's badge right here. He was a rank of an E5 right there when he was working in the Afghan army and working with the CIA. So earlier this morning, a press conference was held in Washington, D.C. Just think about this. Donald Trump scared, panicking. He's in Florida on the taxpayer dime right now, probably golfing. Who the hell knows what he's even doing?
This is a dramatic legislative turnaround. And a huge loss for Trump, make no mistake. For going on 4 months now, Trump and Speaker Mike Johnson fought the release of the Epstein files with every congressional tool they had. And keep in mind, Congress is loaded with some major tools. But when it looked like Republicans were defecting en masse and they were going to lose big, they were suddenly all in, like they always were, right, Mike?
Republicans support maximum transparency. We always have. The President of the United States supports maximum transparency.
Yes, the president has always supported maximum transparency.
makes no difference to him, I guess. All the top people from Google, Apple, Amazon, you name it, lined up to eat beef stroganoff and kiss his ass, just as our founding fathers intended, to build a ballroom. It's like a demented version of Cinderella where the pumpkin is in charge. Trump gave a speech that was mostly about remodeling. He told those in attendance, after I won the first night, I went up and I'm standing in the residential hallway with Melania and we're looking into the Lincoln bedroom. Do you believe this? We're in the White House and that's the Lincoln bedroom. And then she went into the Lincoln bedroom, padlocked the door, and Melania hasn't been heard from since. Meanwhile, while he's asking for money...
But here's what really mattered. This wasn't just about supporting staff during a strike. This created a bond between these hosts that would become crucial when Trump started targeting them individually. They'd learned they were stronger together. Fast forward to April 2024. Kimmel hosted the Oscars and absolutely destroyed Trump live on air. He read Trump's Truth Social post calling him a lousy host and fired back, "Thank you for watching. I'm surprised you're still... Isn't it past your jail time?" The crowd went wild. Trump couldn't let it go. Weeks later, he was still posting about Kimmel, calling him stupid, horrendous, claiming the Oscars had big ratings drop because of Kimmel, and who immediately jumped to Kimmel's defense? Stephen Colbert. On April 18th, 2024, Colbert addressed Trump's attacks on The Late Show.
President would be here. He can't talk right now because he's jogging to Bible study. Put that over there. Maybe move the podium over there. Trump has clearly just given up the fight. Here's what he said at a press conference yesterday.
I'm for I don't, they can do whatever they want. We'll give them everything. Sure, I would.
Yes. When it comes to anything to do with Epstein, he'll always sign right on the dotted pube. Now,
I suppose we can expect one of his ranting and raving lunatic posts soon now. But then you had a press conference in Washington, D.C. by Jeanine Pirro, the former Fox host, who's now the top federal prosecutor in D.C., and Kash Patel, the former podcaster who's now the FBI director, who's part of the PPP, the Pedo Protection Program, covering up the release of the Epstein files and thus working with the Trump regime to cover up a child sex trafficking ring. So when Kash Patel was asked by a reporter, can you clarify the timeline of when the suspect was granted asylum? Watch what Patel says. Play this clip.
And Secretary Kristi Noem has put out details specifically related to your other questions, so I'll let that speak for themselves.
When he was granted asylum, if you could just clarify that timeline. And
Yes, I believe Kristi Noem put that out, and that's a DHS matter, and I'll refer it to them.
Notice how he refers it to Kristi Noem. Just ask Kristi Noem. She'll be the one to tell you, because he didn't want to admit that it was the Trump regime that granted asylum to this individual. And also the head of the FBI's counterterrorism. You want to know who that is? I'm sure you know right now because you watch the Midas Touch Network. A guy by the name of Thomas Fugate, a 22-year-old former intern landscaper. He was basically a Trump fan. And he was a Trump super fan, so Trump elevated Fugate to become the head of FBI's counterterrorism. Never worked in the FBI, no counterterrorism experience. Like a 22-year-old guy right out of school.
Trump himself is cashing in bigly. Trump and his family have reportedly made more than $1 billion in crypto alone over the past year. And I guess $1 billion isn't enough because he's also hawking watches. If you watch Fox News or Newsmax, for more than an hour, you will see Donald Trump, our president, doing this.
Hello, everyone. It's President Donald J. Trump, and it's Trump time. Check out this red beauty. It's one of my new watches. Wear it proudly on your wrist.
Yeah. Don't wear it around your neck. I don't want to get sued.
Wear it proudly on your wrist, and everyone will know exactly what it's for.
That's right. In case you live in an area where people don't know what watches are for. But go on.
You keep my friend Jimmy Kimmel's name out of your weird little wet mouth, okay? I'm mad. Jimmy Kimmel is my podcast brother from Strikeforce 5, and I have vowed to defend him until my death or until the next ad for Mint Mobile. Remember that line, my podcast brother. That's not just a joke. That's a vow. But the real test of their alliance came in July 2025, when Trump went after Colbert in the most devastating way possible. Here's what happened. On July 2nd, 2025, Paramount, the parent company of CBS, agreed to pay Trump $16 million to settle a completely baseless lawsuit over how 60 Minutes edited an interview with Kamala Harris.
You know, who was a landscaper becoming the head of FBI counterterrorism. Wow, it's so dangerous. And then they've gutted all the counterterrorism capabilities. They put FBI agents to go and attack hardworking migrants who have been paying their taxes and to do raids in farms and factories and restaurants and Home Depots and street vendors while debilitating our counterterrorism capabilities. Here's what Janine Pirro said during the press conference. She goes, "This is what happens when people are allowed in who aren't properly vetted." Here, play this clip.
Now, Sarah and Andrew volunteered. They came here to protect the people of the district, pursuant to a crime emergency that President Trump rightly declared in this city and in other cities across the country. Our nation's capital should not and must not be a place where evil comes to commit violence, whatever their cause or motive may be. We should not have to live in fear in the nation's capital, especially by one who came here from a foreign country. And through a process that was so absurd that he came through and released into this country, as many were, knowing virtually nothing about his vetting. This is what happens in this country when people are allowed in who are not properly vetted.
So aren't you telling on yourself? Y'all were the one who did the final vetting. You're the administration. I mean, is the posture from these people always going to be like Biden's always in office? Y'all are the people running it. Y'all are the people who put the National Guard in Washington, D.C., and now you have the brilliant idea, and I say that sarcastically, to now put 500 more National Guard in the Washington, D.C. Nobody wants them there. And here was a good question by a reporter saying there were people upset with Trump, believing the National Guard shouldn't be there in the first place. Watch what her response is. Here, play this clip.
There are people who are also upset with the president believing that the National Guard members should not even have been there if it were not for the executive order.
I don't even want to talk about whether they should have been there. We ought to kiss the ground and thank God that the president said it's time to bring in more law enforcement to make sure that a city that had the fourth highest homicide rate in the country was that violence was quelled. I'm not even going to go there.
What a sick response. She goes, we ought to kiss the ground and thank God for Donald Trump that he's put more law enforcement in DC. The National Guard are not law enforcement. They're military. They don't belong in Washington, DC. And putting 500 more National Guard in Washington, DC after this incident may be the stupidest thing ever. And doing it before this incident is the stupidest thing ever.
Get your watch today at GetTrumpWatches.com. Remember, Christmas is coming. Please make a great Christmas gift. It's Trump time.
That's right. I want you to just close your eyes right now and try to imagine Lincoln in front of a flag selling top hats, okay? And at least he wore top hats. Trump doesn't even wear a watch. I mean, seriously, it's only a matter of time before we're swearing in President Jake from State Farm. These watches, by the way, are not too good according to some of the reviews. Like this one, my daughter's ordered a Trump watch and after 5 months of waiting have not received anything. It's a shame this company is not holding to President Trump's high standards. I have bad news for you, honey. They are holding exactly to Trump's high standards.
Now, you might notice that Trump's voice is a little raspy there. One of the reporters asked him about it.
The health of the president's always news. Your voice sounds a little rough. Are you feeling all right?
I feel great. I was shouting at people because they were stupid about something having to do with trade in a country, and I straightened it out. But I blew my stack at these people.
Sir. I want to put this delicately, but if you want us to stop talking about the Epstein emails, I wouldn't use the phrase, I blew anything. Trump also, okay? I'm just trying to help. I'm just trying to help.
Will this alliance inspire other media figures to stand up to authoritarianism? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this expose valuable, make sure you're subscribed to America Facticity with notifications on. I've got more deep dives into Trump's war on free speech coming soon. Because here's what this story really represents. Trump tried to silence two of the most influential voices in American media. He used his presidential power, his corporate allies, his FCC chairman, and his Truth Social platform to destroy their careers, and both of them looked him in the eye and said, "Go fuck yourself." That's not just comedy. That's courage. That's what resistance looks like when authoritarianism comes for free speech. And that's why the Kimmel-Colbert alliance matters, not just for late-night television, but for every American who believes we shouldn't have to bow down to a president who can't take a joke. Remember, they came for Colbert in July. They came for Kimmel in September. And both times, these two men stood together and refused to be intimidated. As long as that alliance holds, Trump's war on late-night comedy and his war on free speech will keep failing.